come and say a couple of words.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Buenos días.
¿Cómo amanecieron?
Bien.
No vi nada más que Emma en el alberca a la noche, ¿no? ¿Dónde estaban los demás? Y ninguno en el gimnasio. Ajá. Bueno. Bueno, vamos a hablar un poco. Nos habló Emma ayer de cómo está usando su radiodifusora para dar avisos, para dar informes, y también nosotros creemos lo mismo, que usando las medias de la prensa es muy importante. También hemos usado los cantantes, como vamos a ver ahorita una presentación del famoso Little Joe y la familia. Él acaba de tocar aquí en Phoenix hace como 1 o 2 meses. ¿Quiénes saben quién era Little Joe? Si no, preguntan tus nanas y tatas, te van a decir. Bueno, entonces, cuando estamos en los campos rurales, nadie nos escucha. Si estás en Yuma, pues, ¿qué está pasando en San Luis? No van a dar mucha noticia. O si no mandan ustedes avisos, los invitan las medias de la prensa que vengan sus eventos. Aunque no vienen, avísalos siempre, porque eso es importante. Aunque no vengan, van a saber que algo está pasando y un día van a venir. Entonces, cuando hay un evento especial, nosotros presentamos una beca a una campesina, una niña en Amado el otro día. Estaba muy afuera en el campo rural donde la presentamos, pero ayer nos mandó un reportero queriendo saber de esta niña, porque vio en el internet o vio en un lugar. Entonces, otra vez para dar la importancia de lo que es las becas, ¿no? Entonces, la palabra por la media y también por los músicos. Hemos tratado con varias personas que en tiempos pasados nos han ayudado. En el 53 aniversario de PPEP, contactamos a un muy buen amigo, Little Joe Hernández, y él hizo la canción que van a ver, pero cuando cantó no había todas las fotos que van a ver. Entonces colocamos con la permisión de él las fotos de los diferentes programas que estaban apareciendo con los campesinos. Y nada más es una muestra en cómo podemos usar nuestras medias. Algunos han visto esto porque lo presentamos con la orientación de nuestro staff. Entonces vamos a bajar la luz para allá, por favor, Vanessa, o quien está para allá.
Little Joe, words cannot express how proud and honored I feel to be part of this beautiful and momentous occasion, celebrating the 53rd anniversary board meeting of PPEP, to thank and honor the incredible journey and kindness of Dr. John Arnold. His work and good deeds are so numerous, it would take all night to talk about them. Here are a few. He worked for Head Start, recruiting migrant children for the classes. Worked with Cesar Chavez and the United Farm Workers. Recently, delivered hundreds of food boxes to feed thousands of people. Dr. Arnold has been a friend and an advocate for the Native American communities. He has worked with organizations such as LULAC, who have awarded him the Distinguished Cesar Chavez Community Service Award. So I humbly dedicate this song to you, Dr. Arnold, mi hermano. When you're down and out, wondering what it's all about, I want to be your friend. I want to be your friend. When you're sad and blue,
Cuando triste estás y no encuentras paz, tu amigo quiero ser, tu amigo quiero ser. Cuando quieres amar pero sientes llorar, tu amigo quiero ser, tu amigo quiero ser. Cuando estén igual y te tratan mal, tu amigo quiero ser, quiero ser, quiero ser. Cuando solo estás y no puedes más, tu amigo quiero ser, quiero ser. Y cuando gustes, yo te acompaño. Y cuando quieras, yo soy quien te ama, te amo, te amo. I want to be your friend. Tu amigo quiero ser. I want to be your friend. And when you need me, I'm here to hold you. And when you want me, I'm here to love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you.
Para Leticia Linaya. Así que podrá.
You notice the QRs at the end. Those are very, very important because you can direct people to very important parts of what you do. And all the cards on our organization, if you don't have them, you should be having them on your business card, because that directs people to COVID, to the Rural Institute, to diabetes video that we saw yesterday. And the 50th anniversary is a collection of things that happened from 1967 all the way up until 2017. So what did we learn from this video? First of all, tenemos un personaje conocido con la organización. Él está cantando y con el permiso de él pusimos los fotos. So you're able to use the media to tell a story that you probably couldn't tell or anybody wouldn't even want to listen to. But cuando una personaje como Little Joe lo hace, y lo hace en un medio no muy ofensivo, pero como canción, entonces también es agradable para escuchar y es informativo. Aunque las fotos no tienen ningún caption, no le hace, porque él está cantando de amistad. Entonces es como el poema de usted, ¿verdad? Entonces la media de la prensa es muy importante. Por ejemplo, cuando van a tener un evento en su comunidad, cuando van a contactar la televisión, vaya a lo que se llama el assignments editor. No vaya con ninguna otra persona. Just go directly to the assignments editor and send your conferencia, your anuncio de prensa about your evento. Because they're the ones that are going to see what you have to offer, and then they sit down around 8 o'clock in the morning. You always want to do this the day before, and maybe a few days even before that, just to keep leading up. And if it's a slow business day, you might be surprised they'll come. And so in Tucson, Channel 4, Channel 9, and Channel 13, in Telemundo, you were already made some very good stories with them. So cuando viene un anuncio, van a decir, como por ejemplo, si Emma da un anuncio allá a la televisión en Yuma, van a saber que ella tiene algo importante. So you have to build a relationship with the prensa. I was on the phone this morning with Hola Tucson, which is a Hispanic magazine that does some very nice work. And we're doing something for our 55th anniversary. Otra vez, usando un evento, algo de interés a la comunidad, and to get to know people at the station. And that's very important, que conozca un reportero, una reportera, and you keep sending them information. When we did the LULAC conference down in San Luis, we really had some very good coverage of the events down there, because ya sabían que era LULAC, ya sabían quién eran las diferentes personas que, como Jesse, como Mónica, como ustedes en el JP. So was it not a stretch to get them to come down and do the coverage? So assignments editors are very important. Then if you're going to the newspaper and you need to know which reporteros or reporteras are going to be interested in what you have to say. And I know you could list the ones in Bajo del Sol and San Luis News and Jorge and all those people. Those are the people that you need to know. So when you call, they come. So the prensa is very important for us in the rural area porque no tenemos televisoras, no tenemos también una voz. So mainly when you're in the rural areas, you're just, mouth to mouth what's happening. But we need to get our message about the farm workers out farther than that. And we showed yesterday that Telemundo and NBC came down. The Migrant Education Program is a wonderful program. Ralph Romero, vice president of our board, was the head of that for many years. Unfortunately, he passed away. And he was made sure that all of the charter schools that worked with farm workers had the migrant program, and you saw the results. So it estimated 13 million people saw what you saw yesterday. Now, it doesn't matter if it doesn't say John Arnold or it doesn't say Monica or all of that. No, we're telling a story. That's what you want to do. So, because in what we do, it's not about a person, it's about a team. So if they say something nice about me, they're saying something nice about you. If they say something nice about Emma or Ralph or his team, they're talking about their people. All of us as a team. So always remember, it's not a person, it's a team. And so when I have an opportunity to talk to the prensa, we need to point out this is not a personal thing. We're trying to glorify ourselves. We're trying to tell a very, very important story. And so educating the reporters, once you get their attention and you get that call, you need to get back to that person, especially if you don't know them, because they may come out and totally misinterpret what's going on. So find out in your community who the people are in la prensa. Have a spokesman among yourself. You don't want everybody calling them, but you have somebody designated to get your press out. So this is some things that are very important. Emma, I don't know if you have some other things to add to that, but is that pretty much what you...
You have done a really good job explaining the importance of building that relationship. Everything is about relationship, everything that we do. So you have said a really good thing.
And Ralph, any thoughts on that?
I think preparation, so when they know they're going to ask you some questions, you'll be ready, and you can also kind of move the script to where you want it to go and stay on it.
And not to panic if it starts to get a little bit, and don't get defensive. If there's something that you didn't like, you just, kind of come back later and do that. When I was the state director of LULAC, the Telemax and down in Tucson, Panada Azteca, wanted to do a very short PSA on LULAC, what it was doing, and especially what it was doing in Mexico, because we were able to open up our membership to people in Mexico. So we're sitting there by La Tortuga and everything, and after 2 minutes, they said we're going to take a break. And then we came back, and there was another 10 minutes I hadn't prepared for. So it was interesting. You just have to be prepared.
Una cosa muy importante de lo que se está hablando ahorita es de que en veces los medios vienen con una intención de sacar una noticia. Entonces ustedes tienen que no caer en su, no es trampa, pero lo que ellos quieren sacar de ustedes, quieren más bien encontrar gente que es conocida en la comunidad para apoyar lo que ellos quieren fuera de la noticia. Entonces ustedes tienen que estar escuchando muy bien y siempre decir lo que ustedes quieren que la gente escuche, no lo que ellos quieren que digan. Porque ustedes, mientras, verdad que esto, y ustedes les contestan lo que ustedes quieren que la gente escuche. La otra cosa que les voy a decir es de que en ocasiones no es necesario contestarle a los medios porque ellos quieren buscar sensacionalismo de algo negativo, como con los refugiados ahorita, allí con nosotros. A mí me llaman y que piense lo que sea, hay cosas que es mejor cuando son políticas así, yo solamente, nosotros somos una agencia humanitaria, ayudamos a todo el mundo y a los que vengan aquí los vamos a ayudar. Es lo que yo solamente les digo, pero no caigo en lo que, ¿qué piensas de esto? Y que, porque hay políticas federales, es porque nosotros nada tenemos que ver, ni lo que digamos se va a tener mucho impacto. Vamos a tener mucho cuidado y como es la preparación, es muy importante. Y si pueden tener un curso, ahorita Doug Brown nos está dando un pequeño snapshot de un curso de lo que son medios, pero es algo que el personal debería de tener para saber cómo manejar los medios.
Thank you, Emma. Anybody else have some comments of how they've interacted with the media?
Bueno, más lo que recalcó anterior es todo el tiempo en una agencia es mejor que haya una persona que va a dar la voz y no que sean muchos, sino que sea una sola persona la que va a dar el mensaje se puede compartir. De ahí se pueden aprovechar también los medios.
Even preparación es importante. And I was starting to tell a little bit about this interview with Azteca. What I didn't know is that Azteca is also farms out all of their material to Telemás. Well, what is Telemás? It goes all over Mexico. And when they saw that the LULAC was opening up membership to Mexican citizens, all of a sudden somebody at the station said, this is important to let La República know. So we saw the reverberations of this for a long time. So once again, it was not prepared, but I think Emma and Ralph and you folks, as time goes on, you kind of have a lot of things in your mind. It's always there, so that you can pull those things out right away. But never get in an argument with reporters, even though you don't. You can say, I respectfully disagree, and here's what I feel. And be very calm and very respectful. But if you get defensive, it's not going to go well. Yeah. And as I think, as you said, Armando, we need to have a voice, and I'm sure Carrie would say, you know, we have programs and we want to be careful that we don't give out information that, PEP in San Luis is giving out something that we're not giving out. So Carrie, do you want to say something on that?
I mean, I just think it's important. I think what everyone said, I didn't understand everything and then all of you said, but I can pick up pieces. The gist of it is yeah, I mean, I think that you have to be forthcoming, you have to be honest in your communication, you have to let people know exactly where you're at, where you stand, but you also need to be ready to follow up. Okay, so if you're going to promise something, or if you're going to say you're going to do something, please make sure that you follow up on that and make sure that it happens, because if you don't, then you truly do lose credibility, and especially when it goes out into the media and everybody in the community is seeing that, so they want to see those results, especially if you're promising results. And I know that you all do that. So that's awesome.
And then also, if it's a big enough story and you don't feel comfortable, get a hold of your supervisor right away and pull them in. Sometimes I can be pulled in. Other people on our executive team can be pulled in on those kind of things. So those are some very important things to remember about the prensa, because they're our megaphone, they're our voice. Remember, we're in a very remote area. People just don't even know sometimes where Amado, Arizona is, or where Elephant Head is, or Arivaca. Well, we have a chance to tell all of that. Thank you very much, and keep your mind in prensa. And make sure when you go back, why don't you just Google who's at the radio station or the TV station in your area? Oh, I went, that's my comadre, and we went to school together. You know, you never know where these people are. And that's what you want to do, is to find those little contacts, and then when the right time, as Carrie said, the follow-up is very important. When they come, they need to, you don't want to put on a big show of something you don't do to make an impression. You want to be very open. What Monica Baruman did with Telemundo in NBC, she just turned it over to the young people, and you saw the college kids, and you saw the high school kids, you saw the migrant education. It flowed because these people knew what they want. When they come from Washington, they know, or New York, they know what they want. And so it flowed very nicely. Well, thank you for letting me share that with you, but use your prensa, use it wisely, pero conozca a toda la gente que está por allá en los periódicos, los radios y la televisión. Gracias.
That was a very nice presentation, Dr. Arnold. I want to introduce the restorative justice presentation and practices from Circles of Peace. My staff and I had the privilege of meeting Blanca Acosta and her staff, and we were so impressed of the amazing work that they're doing in the community. And we just would really like for them to share all the very innovative things that they're doing. And I'd like to introduce, is it on with the Zoom? Okay. I want to wait because we have one presenter that will be on the Zoom, and I don't want to be disrespectful, that's why.
I'll have it.
And I am very honored to introduce Judge Maynard, and she is going to say a couple of words about Circles of Peace.
Brianna?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Should I begin?
Thank you. Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Hi, good morning. I should begin now? Yes? Well, good morning. Thank you for inviting us to discuss the important topic of restorative justice and the Circles of Peace Agency in Nogales. My colleagues Blanca and Eva will give you more specifics about our programs. I'm going to highlight the history of Circles of Peace as an agency and its programs. First, I have to acknowledge Project PEP, and congratulations on your 53rd anniversary. But Project PEP's role in supporting Circles of Peace in the early days is the reason that this agency is still striving today. Dr. John Arnold, Elise Arnold, Carlin Hacker, and Roxana Gonzalez saw the potential for our agency and agreed to open an office in Nogales when we were struggling to find a license and an agency to support our mission. We are eternally grateful for their foresight and support. I'm a retired attorney and judge. I served for 21 years as Justice of the Peace in Santa Cruz County. After several years on the bench, I recognized the large problem of domestic violence in our community and began looking for strategies to combat that problem. I had noticed that I was seeing repeat offenders and even children of offenders who were repeating their parents' behaviors. One day I read the book by Dr. Linda Mills of New York University called Rethinking Our Responses to Intimate Abuse, and I became fascinated by the idea of using restorative justice practices. I asked Dr. Mills if she would help us develop a program, and she agreed. With the help of the Santa Cruz County community, we designed our program and called it Construyendo Círculos de Paz, or Constructing Circles of Peace, which has subsequently been shortened to Circles of Peace. Dr. Mills then applied for and received a grant from the National Science Foundation to compare two domestic violence treatment options, the Duluth model and the restorative justice model of the Circles of Peace. This was a crucial time when PEP opened the office in Nogales and the study began. The results showed that offenders who completed the restorative justice model had less repeat offenses in overall crimes. NYU then went on to do a much larger study in Utah that showed even more favorable results from a restorative justice program. The restorative justice programs offered by Circles of Peace involve the family, the community, and even the victim if he or she chooses to voluntarily participate. The program fosters the ability to discuss the issues that led to the domestic violence and create solutions that are aimed at preventing these behaviors in the future. From my position on the bench, I saw and heard remarkable stories of enlightenment and the ability to recognize how behaviors had harmed others. Community members play a crucial role as participants in the circle, since we believe that crime and social problems are community problems. We believe that community members should be part of the solution. Now that you're hearing about restorative justice, I'm sure you will hear and read stories of other programs and how this method is being used successfully to bring about healing for people and their communities. Although we started with only domestic violence cases, we have added several other areas in which restorative justice practices work well. We have a pretrial services program, substance abuse treatment, and several prevention programs that all use the strategy of restorative justice. I feel this strategy is beneficial in almost any kind of problem solving. It is respectful to all involved. It is designed to help people look deeply at the issues confronting their lives and to come up with ways to correct behaviors. Through storytelling, value development, and caring circle participants, people are helped to solve problems and design solutions. I hope you will continue to add to your knowledge about restorative justice and its potential use in your lives and in your work. Thank you for having me.
That's just amazing. I'm just so impressed. It's amazing. I'd like to invite Blanca Costa and Eva Zuniga to come and present. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
Buenos días. Otra vez. Good morning. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. Porque vamos a interactuar mi compañera Eva y yo. Primeramente, I'm so grateful for this invitation. Thank you, Dr. Arnold. As you heard from Mayor Helen, our founder, you played an important role in our agency, and that's why we're still here. So thank you so much. And thank you for the leaders that are here, Campesinos Sin Fronteras, otros representantes del trabajo del campo. We really appreciate what you do in your communities. So, para que sepan un poco de nosotros, our presentation is going to be like Spanglish. It's the way how we speak in Nogales, okay? So, where is Nogales? Nogales is located in Santa Cruz County. So maybe Santa Cruz County for you is a small county, but let me tell you, it's a big county. But sadly, it's an isolated community. Tenemos muchas comunidades que están aisladas unas de otras. So maybe you just know Nogales, Rio Rico, because it's that more mentioned communities en Nogales, Tubac, Amado, y otras comunidades. Pero hay muchas comunidades pequeñas como Elgin, Sonoita, comunidades que necesitan de nuestra ayuda, que necesitan de círculos de paz. So, con el modelo de justicia restaurativa que Mary Helen explicó, we started using that model in domestic violence. In 2008, we noticed and we saw the results for the restorative justice model in domestic violence. So we thought about how to apply the same model into other programs that we have. We started as a court order program. So when we talk about restorative justice, we think about the 5 R's. ¿Qué son las 5 R's de justicia restaurativa? And if you haven't heard about restorative justice, just be right in more of the systems that we have, okay, like school systems, judicial systems, prevention, community-based systems, because it works. It's about relationships. And I hear Emma saying that, nomás lo acaba de mencionar, everything is about relationships. Y nosotros creemos eso en nuestra comunidad. Somos una comunidad hispana. 98% of our community is Hispanic. We speak Spanish. It's our first language. We have people who is coming from other communities who speak English, and then they come to Nogales and they learn Spanish very well. So they ended up speaking Spanish, as Eva will tell you later. But relationships is the basis for restorative justice. Restorative justice is not about conflict resolution. It's about prevention. It's about teaching people how to respect each other, how to teach families, parents, sons, children to respect, because the values that we have as community, sometimes we lose those values. Sometimes we forget about those values when we immigrate, when we come to a new culture, when we come to face a new community with a different language, with a different way how to navigate the resources that we have. And we forget about those values. So Circles of Peace is here to show the values, to show how to create relationships, respect, responsibility. And the most important in the restorative justice is prepare. We restore relationships. We restore people who is going through the system, who has gone through the system, especially judicial systems. We care, and maybe you're shocked about this, but we care about the offender. We really care about them. We help them to not just be responsible and accountable for their actions, but we care about them as a person because they're going back to the community. And if they're not restored, they're gonna go back again into the legal system. And that's what we're trying to prevent. So Eva is gonna explain a little bit more about what we do with the court order programs. And reintegration is the best part of what we have seen in restorative justice, because we can see how these people that were maybe rejected by the legal system, by the families, by their own friends, they're reintegrated into the community. Y para mí es como que florecen. Los puedes ver meses, años después, y ellos te dicen gracias porque creíste en mí. Especialmente en los casos de violencia doméstica, cuando ves esas parejas que volvieron a encontrar una manera neutral de resolver sus problemas sin pelear, sin agredirse o sin ofenderse o cometer actos de violencia doméstica, para nosotros that means a lot. That is reintegration. So, conflicto, prevenimos, restauramos, y aquí tenemos restoration as a skill.
Yeah. Thank you, Blanca. Blanca, I don't think you introduced yourself.
I didn't, right? Estoy muy nerviosa. Okay. So, mi nombre es Blanca Costa, mi nombre es Blanca Costa, soy la directora de Círculos de Paz, por casualidad, ¿ok? Porque los directores son el equipo que tengo, pero yo llegué a Círculos de Paz as a circle keeper. I started as a circle keeper in 2008. Yo venía del Duluth model. I was a domestic violence facilitator for Hispanic community in the Duluth model. Pero como Mary Helen, I didn't see any results. I'm sorry, if you're applying that model, it's okay, we need to do something. But when I learned about restorative justice, I don't know, it was my passion. And I came up as a restorative justice facilitator. In 2012, I was promoted as a director, and now I'm the executive director for Circles of Peace. But again, I don't care about titles. I care about the people that we serve. I care about the people that I work with. Thank you.
Okay. And I don't think Blanca gives herself enough credit of how she has invested in our community and believed in the team and believed in the community, and that's a fundamental piece of restorative justice, is that we are community-based, we are for the community, we are organic, meeting the needs of the community where they are. We're not, traditional modes of working in community-based settings, or I'm the expert, I'm the professional, and I'm gonna come and teach you what you need to do better because you're not doing it right, and that's why you are encountering these problems, homelessness, poverty, substance use, and I'm gonna teach you the right way to do things. But the model that we utilize is, I'm you, and you're me, and what's happening to you is happening to me because I'm part of the community, and so are you. So let's come together and find a solution that works for you, for your life. And this might seem like something that you're already doing, and that's amazing, and how can we support you? And this can also be something that's completely different because it's not taught in our universities. We're taught that, el papelito habla, and I have the degree, so I'm the expert, but I'm not the expert of someone else's life. I'm not the expert of the person who committed the crime's life. I'm not the expert of the campesino. They're the expert of their lives, and I might have tools to be able to teach you new skills that might broaden your experiences and give you more positive outcomes if that's what you want. Because sometimes when we work with populations, how many times do we confront, a person who uses substances who maybe that's not their decision for right now to stop using substances? How can we help that person live a more positive life, or their families? And this might seem shocking to some, but restoration is a skill, and these are skills that we can learn. I am not a particularly, I don't think,
Like a teacher,
I
we are
don't,
more like a role model.
Exactly, and I don't think, being compassionate comes naturally to me. I think that's just my experience and my traumas and how I was raised. I'm more of a, pues ponte las pilas y ¿qué andas haciendo? Tienes depresión y nada, vete a limpiar, o hasta, that's my autopilot mode, and that's just from my experiences. And I have to realize that that's the lens that I see the world through. But knowing that restoration and being a helper is a skill gives me, okay, then I can learn skills on how to help people, be more mindful. of themselves. We talked about that yesterday with Maritza Lynn. How self-care is important, and it doesn't have to be, we think of self-care, we think it's going to the spa and spending $1 million. It could just be taking some time for yourself, regando las matitas, cosas de señora, teaching people how to ask questions. Cosas de adultos. Es que de adultos como que infiere otra cosa, no sé. Asking questions, teaching people how to ask questions. How many of the people we serve don't know how to advocate for themselves? Don't know even how to, or they think if I call and ask, you know, I'm going to get in trouble. Empowering people to ask questions, empowering people to have honest expression. Blanca, in our office we have a open door policy, honest and direct conversations. No me vengan con chismes. Honest and direct conversations. Empathy. Empathy is a skill que podemos desarrollar. Listening without judgment. How many of us come with our prejuicios when we work with certain populations? Like, ay, es que no quieren. O es que son bien necios, son bien flojos, o nomás hasta donde. Exactly. Listening without judgment. And the art of request. Problem solving. Developing action plans alongside the person who is seeking.
And as part of the restorative justice practices, we use it in the conflict resolution, but as Eva is explaining, es una variedad muy grande de ideas donde lo puedes usar. Like in Nogales, maybe you're not thinking about farmers, but there's a lot of people that works in the produce industry. En el verano, ellos no están trabajando, and that's the people that we try to reach with our programs, para enseñarles ese respeto, relaciones, amor, porque es el momento que ellos tienen el tiempo de hacerlo. Son más para mencionarles.
So these are some of the programs. We think of Circles of Peace as a tripod. We have our 3 main programs, our pretrial services, court order treatment, and community-based programming. Blanca, do you want to talk about pretrial and court order treatment?
Yes, as Mary Helen explained, we started as restorative justice court order programs, and it was just domestic violence at the moment. In 2010, 2011, we started thinking about the people who was going through the pretrial services process. And believe me, it's a trauma. Being arrested is a trauma. Es a traumatic event. So nosotros pensamos, ¿cómo podemos ayudar a las personas que están siendo arrestadas para abogar por ellos mismos? Para que se les monitoree de una manera que no sea punitiva, ofensiva para el aplicante. Porque, a final de cuentas, muchas de esas personas no son sentenciadas por un crimen. Porque tenemos justicia, tenemos leyes en Estados Unidos, pero nadie valida esas leyes. Nogales es 98% hispano. Ellos no hablan inglés, van a la corte sin tener un representante. Muchas veces no tienen un abogado. Muchas veces las personas los tratan como si ya estuvieran en probation. So they're not in probation, they're in pretrial services and they have rights. So pretrial services se encarga de cumplir con todas esas acciones that the judge or the court has ordered to them, like conditions of release, but in a respectful way. We are not probation officers. We are there to advocate for them and to help them to be connected to the court para evitar esos failure to appear, to avoid like be reincarcerated, because now they have someone who knows the system and how the system works. So that's pretrial services. Y en el momento tenemos 115 persons in pretrial services en Nogales. ¿Lo pueden creer? 115 personas en este programa. And it goes down, it goes up, pero es un programa que tiene bastante gente.
Y son 115 personas y 115 familias.
Familias que se están beneficiando. Employers, because pretrial services connect the defendants to works, vocational, educational, parenting, health, medical. So esas personas que vienen de la corte no tienen a veces un trabajo. They're committing crimes because they don't know where to go to ask for a work, for a school, for vocational, or they have a substance use disorder. So esas personas están siendo referidas a todos los servicios en Nogales. So that's pretrial services. Court order treatment, trabajamos con la Corte de Santa Cruz County en programas como DUI, Driving Under the Influence, domestic violence, tenemos el contrato para Drug Court, en el cual se facilita el programa de corte de drogas en un modelo de círculo. We do drug testing in a trauma informative setting. So we comply with all the court order programs, but in a restorative justice trauma informed setting. Okay, and community programs, that's your,
if you want to jump to the next one. Our community program, we work through a trauma-informed lens. What does it mean to be trauma-informed or informados sobre el trauma? It's the lens that we see others through. I see you as a person, not as the crime you committed, not even as the service you're coming to ask for, but as a person who, more than likely than not, studies tell us that you are someone who has a lived experience of trauma. Whether that be vicariously, whether that be experienced by yourself, but we all have our own experiences. I see in this room professionals, people who are helpers, but also people who have families at home who are waiting by the phone, maybe expecting a call, maybe expecting, you know, I'm gonna go home and I have to deal with A, B, C, D, E. I just had a baby. I know I don't look like it, but I just had a baby 10 months ago, guys, you know. So I'm thinking, okay, I gotta do this, A, B, C, D. I'm someone who is experiencing my own life, and so are you. You're not just what you're coming to ask for. You're not just the person who's asking for help with rent, or the person who you know, is going through the legal system. You're a person. And that is the lens that we serve our community through trauma-informed prevention programs. We work collaboratively with the people that we're serving. In this setting, it's mostly youth in those prevention programs, primary prevention, substance abuse prevention program. What does that look like? That looks like involving them in the development of the programs. There's this quote that goes around, nothing about us without us, bringing them to the table and shutting up and letting them talk. What do you need? What are you seeing in the schools? What would work for you? I see some of the most cheesy prevention, you know, community messaging, and I'm like, the kids are laughing at us, guys. Like, they see these posters and they're laughing. So like, getting them to the table, what will serve you best? What will help us get the outcomes that we know we need? Kids to not use drugs, kids to be sober, kids to find new skills, new ways of coping with life. COVID-19, hello guys, was a huge trauma for them as kids. We were going through it, they were going through it even more, and even more isolated than we were. We could get up and go to work, connect with other people. They were at home. So bringing them to the table, youth resilience programs, like we said, teaching kids new skills, teaching them new ways to desarrollarse, to reach their goals and their dreams. Those things still exist, helping them see más allá de, you know, than the four borders of Santa Cruz County, but teaching them those resiliency skills. Entre Amigas Women's Support Group, which was a brainchild of Circles of Peace, of meeting the women where they are. What do the women in our community need? What are these women who are having domestic violence experiences, experiencing homelessness, experiencing poverty? They need financial independence. They need entrepreneurial skills. They're not just, oh, es la víctima de ese caso de violencia doméstica. No, she's a person who sabe tejer y hay que ayudarla a poner un negocio, hay que ayudar a esta persona a salir adelante, tiene mucho que enseñar. And that's what amazing part about the Entre Amigas Women's Support Group. It's done in a circle model. We weren't able to talk about that much, but these women come and they, from their life experiences, they might think they have nothing to add and they just have lo que han vivido, but that can help someone else who might be going through a situation with their kids, with their work, con el perro, you know, these crazy dogs, yeah. You know, también es un dog, you know, we can come and bring what we know and help someone else. So that's the premise of that group. We are about to open our first Center for Restorative Youth and Community Programs. You're all invited. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be in downtown Nogales. It's a collaborative partnership with the city of Nogales, where they have entrusted us a city building for us to put to good use. And there we're going to be having community programming through programs for youth, for women, a drop-in center for individuals to come and receive services, ask how they can pay their bills, and that'll be right in the center of Nogales, where there's a lot of need and also a lot of hope and resilience that will come out of that. Trauma-informed and restorative community building, we do a lot of different programs, trainings. We don't keep the knowledge for ourselves. We receive federal, state, foundation donation funds to have programming and of course, if we were selfish, we would just spend all the money on ourselves and ourselves, you know, be super trained, but we leverage our funds and invite the community, invite other agencies to come and receive these trainings, these certifications, so that they can serve their populations better and be more trauma-informed, and that's what we're working with our community to do, to become more trauma-informed, to see the community through a restorative lens, where if someone comes to your agency, no matter what, if you're the food bank, if you're the bank, if you're a school nurse, that they're received with love and care and respect and shown, you know, that the treatment that they deserve. So, and we have a lot of community trainings that we offer, so if you guys want, we can add you to our listserv, and we have trainers coming in every month. That's it. And
so, antes de terminar, I know the time is over, but if you have been in Santa Cruz County, maybe you have been in touch with one of our programs, even maybe without knowing. So we work with all the agencies in the community. Is what we have been known as por la colaboración que tenemos, because it's not about us, it's not about me, it's not about Eva Circles, it's about the community. So tratamos de colaborar con todas las agencias para el beneficio de la comunidad, y pues muchas gracias por tenernos aquí y gracias por la invitación.
Just like to say a little word about Santa Cruz County. It's our smallest county, but I think Nogales is our oldest city. They say Prescott is, but if you go back to the Acuerdo de Guadalupe Hidalgo, around 1848, right after that, you start seeing in the history books, Nogales existed. And I'm a resident of Santa Cruz County, and my family moved back to Guadalajara, to the U.S. from Guadalajara. I lived in Nogales, went to Lincoln School, and I began to appreciate this is a very dynamic community. A lot of big things come out of Nogales. You know, Ralph, you got right down there. PPEP actually organized. We were incorporated in December 10th, 1969, and the old fire department, that's where PPEP became incorporated. And our oldest office is still in Patagonia, Arizona. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. We really have a great youth center. We started back in 1972, and it's now, they have their own youth center they just built. And I really encourage you, I didn't hear Patagonia in your list, but I would certainly like to invite you to come up. We have our oldest office there, and we have some space there that, if you need that.
With Anna Coleman? With Anna Coleman?
Yeah, and so they are a very active group of young people. They helped us during the food distribution every Thursday when we were down there. They were always there loading and unloading the trucks. I did want to say one other thing here about Patagonia, is that it is a very old community, goes back to 1898. And there was a mining community. There was a lot of cattle and a lot of things like that. But that community, as it's grown, is a very strong population of Latinos. We have families that have been there for generations, and that youth center through Anna Coleman is a great way to use. So I really encourage you to keep up with that.
She's one of our great partners and great friends, and the Patagonia Union School District is amazing.
If you have questions, or if you would like to maybe implement this process or these models in your community with your people, please send us an email that we can absolutely give you a training or provide you with skills or tools. Thank you so much.
Dr. Arnold wants to know if people know what Nogales means. What does it mean?
Nogal.
Sí, bueno, nogales son nueces, ¿verdad?
It's a tree.
Muchas gracias.
We'll save them.
Can I give you this one?
Yes. I'll talk. Thank you, Dr.
En We Love Nogales promovemos nuestra comunidad y su gente, y lo hacemos con mucha pasión, pero sobre todo con gran corazón. Con decenas de seguidores nuevos cada semana en nuestras redes sociales y colaboradores claves, estamos convencidos de que lo que hacemos está en el gusto de usted y de nuestra audiencia. Con entrevistas semanales tocando temas diversos de interés social como salud, educación, cultura, negocios, entre otros, nos hemos ganado la confianza de miles de personas de esta maravillosa región, Arizona, Sonora. En We Love Nogales siempre estamos en búsqueda de nuevas alternativas, ideas vanguardistas acompañadas de nueva tecnología que nos ayuden a promover y posicionar nuestra ciudad fronteriza de Nogales a un nivel global. Lo invitamos a que no se vuelva a perder nuestras entrevistas, los acontecimientos y eventos más relevantes de nuestra comunidad. Síganos por aquí en We Love Nogales. Transmitiendo nuestra comunidad al mundo.